Hello friends, this is Rod, and I just picked up, well, I was just mailed a copy of Hoop-Mania Basketball, another of a long line of games produced in Minnesota, probably somewhere in Duluth, Minnesota, but this company, big league company's undergone a number of changes over the last 50 years, and this game came out of the Hinckley, Minnesota warehouse, a big league company run by Keith. And I just was curious about this Hoop-Mania game, and so for, I think, $20.95 plus shipping, I decided just to order it up. And this is the Hoop-Mania all-time teams, as you can see, all-time teams and NBA all-time all-stars. It's a group of all-time teams that represent the NBA before 1980, basically. So some of the teams in this season of cards, you will see they only have 8 players on them, because some of the teams like the Portland Trail Blazers, the Buffalo Braves, only had about 8 or 9 years to assemble the all-time teams, and there weren't many players available. So we'll look at the cards, but let's first look at the Hoop-Mania game procedures and instructions. This is obviously the one of the front pages. You start the game by rolling one die for a jump ball and adding it to the rebound rating. Pretty simple for the, kind of typical of the era. And then you use the action chart to see who has the ball. Now, the funny thing about the action chart is that it's just this thing over here. Roll one die, and it's got an equal chance of going to all of the players in the lineup. 6 is your choice. So there's nothing scientific about that. I just want to know what's in the cards. It'll actually allot the amount of shots for a player to for misses and makes. But anyway, I have not played this game, so this is all going to be new to me when I eventually try it out. I'm still in love with my PTG basketball, Pro Table Games basketball games that came from Big League Company as well. And I'm still working on those, but I had to break this open just to see what it's all about. Obviously, this chart is not just an action chart. It's also got a rebound chart. It's also got injury chart, technical foul chart, things like that. So back to the rules. It says use the action chart to see who has the ball. Player in control can shoot or pass. So you kind of got a decision to make. If shooting after a field goal made by opponents or a jump ball, use the X column of the player card. If player passed, P column, then use the column indicated by the result of the pass. And we'll take a look at the cards in a second to see how that works out. Also, every pass, jump ball, or rebound, roll one die and refer to the action chart. Every reference to action chart is one-time increment. 60 increments equals 1 quarter. So a little bit like the PTG basketball game. Their timing mechanisms, a number of plays, a number of action chart plays. It's not shots like in PTG, but it's passing to a certain player instead. So I don't know if that's easier or more difficult. It also tells us what the Z, Y, W, X columns are. They are different types of shots. And we'll take a look at these cards really quick as well. What's this at the top here? The minus P column equals pass, T equals turnover. Just a variety of little symbols you'll probably figure out once you play a game or two of this. D column has the same codes, plus block shot, go to rebound procedure, S for steal, go to action chart. All kinds of interesting things that I'm reading for the first time here. Game does not include dice, so we can keep cost to you as low as possible. This game, they suggest 4 dice to play a faster game. You use 3 dice of the same size or color for 3 added charts, and a different size or color dice for the action chart. So that makes sense. These are 3 dice rolls. And this is an all-time all-star set. As I said, it's all-time teams. And there's either 20, 21, or 22 teams, and just a group of ABA players all-star, maybe the top 37 ABA players that have played in the short life of the ABA from 68 through 76. So I just thought this would be a fun thing to play some all-star teams, play some great teams. And we'll go over those rosters as we move along. So let's see what it says. You can place a player on a different team from the one indicated on his card if you wish. So you can make up your own all-star teams with these all-star players. And they come from, the early 50s to the late 70s. These players are all across the board the first, let's just say 40, let's see, 47, 30, 32, 33 years of the NBA. So there's quite a variety, and I will show you that momentarily. And the players have been normalized by use of a special computer formula so that old players are not penalized unduly by the change in the modern pattern of play. This means, since all players are performing against other all-stars, you cannot expect field goals, percentages, and rebounding to be the same as their regular season play. So that makes a lot of sense too. If you're all playing against great defensive players or great rebounders, you're not going to grab as many rebounds or shoot as well technically from the field if you're just playing against all-star defenders. So that's a very interesting thing. Anyway, let's move on to the playing cards next. Well, they're all called old-time rosters. So let's go over these rosters really quick. You got the old-time Sonics. And I can understand why Spencer Haywood is there, but this is another young team. It's probably less than 10 years old when this all-time roster was made. I mean, even John Brisker, who basically got kicked off that team by Bill Russell and then went into hiding and was never seen again, is on that Sonics roster. So there's really a variety of players on these rosters. Who else is on this team? Walt Hazard, Freddie Downtown Brown. That's probably pretty legit. And yeah, Don Smith, some pretty mediocre players for all-time greats. So it's just because of the lack of time factor. Of course, the Bullets have been in Baltimore and Washington, D.C., so they, or Maryland, they got a couple extra players. Gus Johnson, Kevin Porter was on their 75 championship team. Earl the Pearl started in Baltimore. Kevin Lockery, Jack Marin. A lot of their players are fairly last 10 years, like going to about 1980 when this game came out. So a lot of their great players they pulled were from their more recent teams. Old Time Braves, see, started in 1971. Only 8 players. Bob McAdoo leading the way. Elmore Smith, who was before McAdoo and played 1 year with McAdoo. Randy Smith, who was a heck of a player. But you got Don May and Tom McMillan. Those guys aren't all-stars by any stretch of the imagination. So the old-time Hawks, St. Louis and Atlanta. Bob Pettit, Cliff Hagan, Ed McCauley, Lenny Wilkins, Pete Maravich, Lou Hudson, Bill Bridges, Joe Caldwell. Those are all, just classic. I think that's Red Roca. I'm not sure. He's way from the 40s or 50s. Zelmo Beatty, Charlie Scher. I don't know much how good he was, but anyway, that's an older team. You can tell there's more all-stars that are legit. Old-time Trailblazers. I know these guys are not going to be great. Sidney Wicks and Jeff Petrie put up all the stats, but the rest of that lineup, most of those guys barely average 10 points a game. So we'll quickly go through a couple others. These are all the ABA players. Dampier, Daniels, Issel, Lewis, Roger Brown, James Jones. I mean, the list goes on. And most, probably a third of these guys are basically Hall of Famers. There's 3 rosters. Of course, I'm wondering if roster 1 here. Irving, Wise, Simpson, McGinnis. That may be the best roster with Gilmore, Thompson. Those are some amazing players. So, Chicago Bulls, Love, Walker, Bowerwinkle, Sloan, Van Leer. This sounds like their 1975 Bulls to me. The old-time Sixers Nationals, they gave a few extra players on that team, including Wilt, Hal Greer, Johnny Red Kerr, Billy Cunningham, Tom Van Arsdale. There's some good players on that team. So let's throw that page aside. I think there's another set of rosters here. Who are your all-time favorite Knicks? There's Frazier, Reed, Dick Barnett, Bill Bradley. It's way before the age of Patrick Ewing, so not too far behind Patrick, but all the modern Knicks. All-time Royals, of course the Big O, Jerry Lucas, Jack Twyman, Maurice Stokes. Cavaliers, very young team. Austin Carr's the best they got, probably. Bobby Bingo Smith. The Rockets with Rudy T, Calvin Murphy. One of their original draft picks was Elvin Hayes. Scored a lot, the team didn't win a lot. All-time Warrior roster, of course, has Rick Barry, Nate the Great Thurmond, Thomas Sherry, Jeff Mullins. One more line here. Got the old Celtics, probably one of the greatest assemblies of players because they had a long career and they won a lot of titles. Cousy, Sharman, Russell, Havlicek, Casey and Sam Jones, Dave Cowens, Frank Ramsey, Don Nelson, JoJo White. Pistons, they put Dave DeBusschere on the Detroit Pistons with Bob Lanier. Dave Bing, Gene Shue, Ray Scott. Bucks are a young team, but of course they have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor, Bobby Dandridge. Phoenix Suns grab Connie the Hawk, Paul Silas, Dick Van Arsdale. Still a younger team, though. And the all-time Lakers were probably quite fabulous for any era. West, Goodrich, George Mikan, Baylor, Hairston, Slater Martin, Jim Pollard, Faust Mickelson. Vern Mickelson was a good rebounding power forward. Rudy LaRusso, too. Frank Selby and Hot Rod Hundley. So this team is obviously, you go 10 to 20 years in the future, you got your Magic Johnsons, Kobe Bryants, and James Worthies replacing a lot of these great players. But these are all great players for their time, so that's pretty darn cool. So let's take a look at some cards just here in a second. Here's the cards. They come in perforated sheets, so you can just bend and tear them apart. It's weird to see authentic cards from 1979. These are 40-year-old plus. I think this came out around 1980. These are 40-year-old plus cards. I mean, they're in great condition. There's the coups. You can see the cards are rated. You roll 3 dice. Your results will be 3 six-sided dice. You go 3 through 18. And you're either shooting or passing. And that'll give you a characteristic on each one. And will tell you what to do with the next roll. So I have a feeling this game's fairly basic. And really, probably, I don't know how accurate it is. I don't have an idea, but they said it was computer tested and everything. So, there's your Cavaliers. I was just funny. I started looking at the all-time greats, and I look at the Cavs, and there's like Butch Beard. Butch Beard was an okay point guard, but he didn't play that much. But, when you have an all-time great team that's only 8 years old, you're going to have players that are not your elite players on the team. So the Bulls took Alex Groza. So, like I said, I think he played back in the 40s or 50s. Jerry Sloan loved those hard-nosed Bulls. That is very reminiscent of the 75 Bulls. The Bullets. They got Walt Bellamy, Jack Marin, and Wesley Unsold. And this is obviously pre-Elvin Hayes playing it. Well, Hayes actually played a lot. I think they put him on the Rockets simply because he had his biggest stats there, and the Rockets needed help. Just like the Braves do. I mean, they've got Bob McAdoo and Randy Smith here. But interesting, they've got a defensive rating at the top. Defense 3. That seems like it's halfway. I think I saw Bill Russell with a defense of 6. Probably the highest rating, I'm going to guess. Because there's Elmore defense 4. And that's because he could block a lot of shots. McAdoo defense 2. He's known more for his offense. So, 3-time scoring champ. And of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a good indicator of who's a good defender. He's a 5. They got him at 7'3". Most have said he's Kareem Abdul-Jab. They ran out of room on that card. But they're just fascinating. This will be an interesting gameplay. I'm just going through this card set for the first time, just like you are looking at it here. Lou Hudson, Zelmo Beatty. Charlie Scher. Back in the St. Louis Hawks days, I'm certain. And then you got all your ABA stars. A-Train. Defense 5s. Yeah, he could definitely stop some people as well. They got a rebound rating. Rebound of 19 for A-Train. I'm sure that's among the better ones you're going to see. But they're ABA stars. You can put together what team you want. George McGinnis was a mega star in the ABA. Defense 3. Rebound of 16. And it'll be interesting to see how the defensive ratings impact the shooting of the players. More ABA stars: Ron Boone, Steve Snapper Jones, Roger Brown, star of the Indiana Pacers, along with George, Big George. There's the Suns, Warriors, and the rest of the ABL stars. So, yeah, this will be interesting to check it out. This Warriors team has one of the earliest scorers, high scorers in the league there, and Joe Fulks, played in the 50s. Nate the Great Thurman, defensive 5, rebound 19. So, yeah, all these defensive characteristics. Let's take one quick look one more time at the what these ratings may actually mean. Because, I mean, I see D column has the same codes. ZYXW plus. B is block shot. S is steal. F is for shooting free throws. Oh, I see the free throw column. Let's take a look at that free throw column really quick. Yeah, looks like you got makes and misses. Cassie Russell's a good foul shooter. Looks like all the makes are right up the center. 7 through 14 and 18 are makes. So everything else is a miss. So very simple there. It's a good sign. They give you some roster sheets. I was just going to say this is made like on a tan paper like I showed you earlier. I was going to show you the ones they gave me for PTG basketball, the brown ones, as I had shown before. Look at how dark these are. They're very difficult to read unless you're just in the right amount of light flashing on them. It's obviously printed out by the same company. It's either Big League Company or some relative to that. Because they're the same. They got the same perforations if you want to add the roster to the team. And so that's really interesting as well. Let's take one last look at the rules here. T's turnover, O offensive foul. Z, shoot from the Z column, use action chart. And you get a Y, X, and W, same results. You got a G, all the G's are good. Must be a G with an asterisk, good plus foul. P's pass, D's use D column. 3 to make 2. My only question mark here would be, do the ABA players shoot 3-point attempts? I don't see anything that really indicates 3-point shooting. You know what? We almost have to take a look. What's a good basket? What's the made basket? G is good. So if I go and look at an ABA player, I'm going to see if I can find someone here. Where is that? There's some ABA stars. Are there any like 3-point goals or anything? Who is a good 3-point shooter? No one on that group. I mean, Roger Brown could hit threes. I don't know. Is there G's? I just wonder if there's no 3-pointer in the game. Which is interesting. This game kind of came out, this edition came out right around when they adopted the 3-point shot. Probably just prior to the 3-point shot in the NBA. So I just wonder if there's no 3-pointer. But either way, that's a minor thing when you're playing all-star games. it would be nice, of course, and I will research that and see if there is. Oh, there it is. No, that's just two. That's possible three-point play on a two-point shot. So I don't see anything that's telling me three-pointers count. But either way, this is another gaming experiment I will do down the road. Have a little gameplay, have a little bit of fun. Right now, I'm just kind of tinkering around. As you can tell, I'll just slowly pan over here. My Pro Table Games basketball. You've seen me on Facebook. I'm doing an envelope project and just trying to get these little seed packet envelopes and use my 20-year-old dot matrix inkjet printer, that is. And dot matrix, that's going back in time. And making the packets. This is the 30 college teams, the 1973-74 season, 1975 edition of Pro Table Games basketball. So that's what's going on here. I've been printing out madly. I ran out of envelopes. I've got more in order, though. So I've got about 15 of the 30 teams in envelopes now, including the two of the titans of the NCAA in 1974. That's NC State with David Thompson. And, of course, UCLA. Senior season for Bill Walton, Jamal Wilkes, Dave Myers, Marcus Johnson, Richard Washington. They had a heck of a squad there. Unfortunately, well, if you're not a Bruin fan, I don't think it matters, but they ended up running into a spectacular 30-1 NC State team, and David Thompson, Tommy Burleson and company just rolled, played a great game and knocked them out in the semi-final. Maybe that was the Final Four, I guess you'd almost equate it to, and they went on to win the whole thing. So it'll be fun to try some PTG basketball. College edition, basically, is what I've got here. And that's probably one of the next things on tap with PTG basketball. But anyway, just getting back to Hoop-Mania here. Once again, the treasure trove of things I rarely see is Keith's shop at Big League Company in Hinckley, Minnesota. You can go on to Keith's store on eBay and just type in Hoop-Mania or type in Pro Table Games basketball. He's got all kinds of funky things. It's just a treasure trove of games, baseball, basketball, just historic stuff from the 1960s, 1970s, and it's original printed cards. Really excellent things. So that is all I have for you this evening. Farewell, and we will talk to you soon. And have a good day.